You know, it'd be kind of cool if like cinematographers had like a full-on lighting bodysuit and they can just attach a light like this and be like, "You want some light?" I got some pretty good ideas right here. Hey everybody, Sidney here. So today we're gonna check out a brand new light that I got from Godox, and it's the Godox VL200. It kind of looks like the Aputure 120D Mark II, except in yellow and black color schemes. We should probably compare this against the 120D. Yeah, okay, let's go do that. Okay, so here we have the Godox VL200. Actually, it's a nice case, isn't it? Nice little carrying case. All right, here's the light in all its glory. There's the Aputure 120D Mark II. And this seems a little bigger, doesn't it? Yeah, it's a little bigger. Got the reflector, we're not gonna need that. But the great thing about the VL200 and the Aputure 120D Mark II is that they both have a Bones mount, a universal mount to attach light modifiers. Cool, man. Probably, you know what? Let's just do this. We should probably test out the 120D first. All right, let's do that. Oh, and pro tip, if you're gonna use lights in your house or your studio, put them on wheels and just wheel them around. Makes it a lot easier to move. Pro tip number 2, if you're gonna position lights near actors and talent, you should probably use sandbags, and that way the whole thing doesn't tip over. All right, so now what I'm gonna do, I'm going to position it. Well, let me reframe the shot. So I'll be sitting down over here, and I wanna try to expose for the outside, but I also want to make sure that I'm exposed properly inside, and that's where the studio light comes in. Just wheel this around. It's such a big light dome. Here, just so you can see, and I'll pull out wider. There we go. Something like that. There we go. I think I'll be lit like that. So I'll be sitting in that chair, and yeah, we're gonna try to light this thing. Very cool. Looks great. I could probably bring in the light a little bit more, but for the most part, I think it looks great. You can see a little bit of the outside. I'm properly exposed, and there's a nice ratio of light shadow on my face, so good definition. And there's a bit of shadow on this side, that's totally okay. That's not what I was going for. I just wanted to make sure that I was exposed properly, as well as the outside. And this is actually a good area to test both lights in, because we're having light come in from the outside. This is daylight temperature, proper daylight temperature. And so it'll be interesting to see how well the lighting matches on both the Aputure 120D Mark II and the Godox VL200. All right, let's switch up the lights. Hopefully the sun didn't shift too much, but now what you're seeing is the Godox VL200 at 100% brightness. And I've attached the Aputure Light Dome Mark II as the diffuser, and from what I'm seeing, it looks really good. Wow, nice. Look at that, look at that. All right, so now I'm gonna stay still so that we can do a proper side-by-side comparison. That is brighter. The VL200 is definitely brighter. What is that, 20%? Goodness. Now, there are some notable differences between the Godox VL200 and the Aputure 120D Mark II. Obviously, they're different color schemes, not that it matters when it comes to lighting, but this is black and yellow, Aputure 120D is black and red, and a little bit of white and silver. For one, the yoke or the knob or whatever you want to call this, basically this kind of loosens and tightens if you want to position the light in a certain angle. I'm not a big fan of the knob wheel. I mean, it does the job, but I much prefer the yoke system that the 120D has. On the back of the VL200 is a single power port, just like the Aputure 120D. And on the bottom of both lights is a spigot, which you can then attach to a light stand. But with the VL200, there's a double spigot. And so instead of mounting it this way traditionally, you can actually mount it this way to your light stand. And that way you can angle it better to either light up the floor or up at the ceiling. That's actually pretty cool. Like, I don't know if I'd use it all that often, like just pointing at the floor or the ceiling a lot. Like, I find like I can angle the lights pretty much anywhere I want, just as is. But the fact that you can mount it on a light stand this way, like that's clutch. There's a cool little feature on the Godox VL200, and it's the umbrella mount that you can find just at the bottom of the lens. I personally don't have umbrellas to diffuse my lighting, but if you have light umbrellas, then you can stick your umbrellas into the mount. Very nice, Godox, very nice. The Godox VL200 comes in a padding case, which also includes the ballast, the power supply, the power cable, and the reflector. The Aputure 120D Mark II also comes in a padded case with all those accessories, so both lights do a really good job at providing those things straight out of the box. And the other thing that I wanted to point out with the Godox VL200 is that the fan is really quiet, like really quiet. The 120Ds are quiet as well, but this is pretty quiet. So something else to note, the Godox VL200 has this nylon handle that you can attach to the light stand. I don't know how well I trust it. Seems like a very thin nylon strap, so I don't know how well I trust it hanging on to my light stand. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that. And also, if you're attaching two V-mount batteries on the controller box of the Godox VL200 and it's hanging on by a thin nylon strap, I don't know. I freaking love that you can attach two V-mounts on the ballast of the VL200. Like, if you're out for a long day of shooting, like having two V-mount batteries attached to the ballast, like you can power up the VL200 all day. For the stuff that I do, it's mostly plugged into the wall anyway, and rarely do I use V-mount batteries whenever I'm shooting outdoors. But if you are shooting a project all day, then it kind of helps to have two V-mounts attached to the ballast. The only thing is that the ballast is just way too long for me. Like, I get the functionality, I totally get it. It's just too long, kind of makes the whole thing clunky, and you have to attach a power supply on top of that, and so that's just a whole lot of things to power up the VL200. Where with the Aputure 120D Mark II, the power supply is in the control box, so it makes it less clunky to set up your light. You don't need to attach a power brick to the control box, like everything is included. It makes the whole setup less clunky. It's not the end of the world. I mean, we're talking about video production anyway, everything is going to be clunky, but since we're comparing the two lights, I just figured it was worth mentioning. So the VL200 does get a little hotter after a little bit of use. I mean, this was on for only a few minutes, and it definitely was significantly hotter than the 120D Mark II. I don't know what that means in the long run. Like, I've used the 120Ds for quite some time now, and I totally trust Aputure. Like, the longevity of their lights, solid. I've only been playing with this for a little bit, and so I can't really say now how reliable the VL200 is gonna be. I might have to wait a while. Both the VL200 and the 120D Mark II can be grouped with multiple lights and can be controlled with a remote, but the one thing that the VL200 has over the 120D Mark II is the fact that you can control this light with an app. I'm not gonna get too much into the app itself, but yeah, you can control this light with your phone. And honestly, they're just both really good lights. They both pack a punch, they produce beautiful lighting, they're both easy to set up and dial in whatever settings we want, and are both similar in many, many ways. Yes, there's gonna be pros and cons for both, but the one thing that makes the Godox VL200 very attractive is the price. Definitely a lot more affordable than the 120D Mark II. Now, as far as which light is better, I mean, I don't know, that's really all up to you. I really like my Aputure 120Ds, like I have a bunch of Aputure lights, and I will probably stick with my Aputure lights. But I love the fact that there is a budget option that's similar to the 120D Mark II, which is the VL200. And if you're ready to level up your video production and get a studio light, and you're still on a budget, then definitely check out the Godox VL200. Huge thanks to Godox for sending me the VL200 to play with, and if you want to check it out for yourself, then click the link in the description below. Oh my goodness, this is like the second video I've done today. I'm trying to batch film so that I can better schedule my videos, so pardon me if my voice seems kind of parched. Well, hey, thanks so much for hanging out. Thanks for watching the video. I always appreciate that. Thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the bell so that you get notified for upcoming videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.